How do you know that you have gut troubles? This is a very extensive list. Don't get sad. So look through here and see if there's anything that resonates with you. This is really just a cursory look too. If you're a human being, you kind of have gut troubles. So while you're reading that, I'll have some tea. All right, so how do you know you have gut troubles? Well, autoimmune, obviously, we just talked about that. If you have a chronic disease of sorts, then there's a gut component going on. If you have cancer, that's one of the chronic diseases. So is diabetes, obesity, cardiovascular disease, all the big guys. If there are skin issues, things like hives, rosacea, eczema, psoriasis, any of the thyroid troubles, Hashimoto's, hypothyroiditis, or Graves'. If there are foods you cannot handle, and now the list is getting longer, that's a really good indicator. If you have acid reflux or GERD or hiatal hernia, that's a gut trouble. If you're struggling with chronic constipation, if you're going less than once a day, there's a problem. If you have chronic persistent diarrhea, there's also a problem. If you have picky eaters in your midst, if they're down to 5 foods, that can often be an indicator and a call to arms to start looking after the gut. I wish I knew this when my little one was little. If you have asthma or COPD, slow immunity, do you get all the colds and flus? Do you have a hard time healing when there's a cut? That can actually be in large part because the immune system at the gut level is having to handle too much that it can't tend to that kind of stuff. Do you have a hard time sleeping? That can usually be linked to improper digestion. If you're having a hard time getting to sleep, that's typically a hard to digest piece. If you're having a hard time staying asleep, that's typically because there's a lot of inflammation possibly at the root of it, which is all gut. If you are not rested when you wake up, it's because there is an imbalance of hormones as well. And that is certainly impacted by incomplete digestion and inflammation at the gut lining. Oh gosh, this is so sad. If you have painful or creaky joints, osteoporosis I'll put in there too. If you struggle through anxiety, low moods, there's a gut component. Your gut is your second brain. A lot of those neurotransmitters, to keep those in check, are made at the gut level. Maybe you're having a hard time making them. Interesting. Do you know that they're made by the bugs of your gut with endocrine cells lining your intestinal tract? Look at you multitasking. Hopefully. We'll get you there. Don't worry. Do you have a degenerative condition, something like ALS or multiple sclerosis, where you're starting to progressively lose function of body parts or certain bodily functions of things? Reproductive troubles, I would count in there fertility for sure. If you have painful cramps and periods that really take 3 days out of your month for you, or if you have excessive bleeding or even clots, then there is it's warranted to look at the gut actually. Do you feel stress keenly? Are you high stress? Do you feel like you live in high infested saber-tooth tiger enclosure? Yeah, there's stuff going on at the gut that we could do that'll help minimize what's happening. Okay. So do you understand how important all of this is? It's really crucial for people to understand that when you start looking after the gut, you have the potential of impacting so many other systems and other bodily functions that are going on in the body. You have to understand that what you're doing is going to possibly have an impact everywhere. So the work that we're talking about in today's class, the practical stuff we'll get into in Module 2, it's stuff that applies to everybody at the table. It's about being a good human, really, and about supporting. It's not a fountain of youth. There is no such thing, but it's a fountain of wellness. If you're really truly looking for wellness, and that is your end goal, to be as well as you can, as long as you can, improve quality of life, improve quantity of life, then the gut is where you start.